So the developments there lead us to our big question tonight, and we'd like to interact with you. And the big question is, do you support the closure of all refugee camps in Kenya? Do you support the closure of all refugee camps in Kenya? Do tweet me at Betty M. Kialo, or you can also use the hashtag Friday Briefing, and we will be taking a look at the responses during Friday Briefing today. Not almost exactly a time like now, 1 week ago, the Huruma tragedy took place as a 7-story building collapsed, trapping residents inside, and the death toll is now above 40. 7 days later, the Nairobi County government has begun the demolition of houses that had been marked as unfit for human habitation. KTN's Timothy Otieno, who has been following developments there, has the details.
1 week after a building in Huruma estate collapsed, the operation to rescue lives still continues, even though most of the time rescuers have to pull out dead bodies in an operation that has lasted nearly 200 hours. Members of the National Disaster Management Unit and the National Youth Service continue unrelentlessly to save as many lives as possible.
The progression of work is going on very well, and I'm happy to tell you that we have actually achieved almost towards, we are focusing almost now to 80%.
We expect by tomorrow, at least we should have cleared this disaster scene.
But the disaster would open up a can of worms surrounding building construction within the capital that would see the Nairobi County government earmark more than 8 apartment buildings in the area for demolition. And when the bulldozer began its work, turning verbal and written notices into real-life manifestation, the residents here began a frenzy to salvage the most they could, given the limited time issued. In the thick of things is a middle-aged man who stands nearly isolated from the rest and has known no home for the last 7 years other than this now congested street in Huruma Estate. The roar of the bulldozer means he has to move immediately, never mind the fact that he does not know where to go. His disappointment in the whole exercise evident.
Serikali ya kaunti ya Nairobi imelala kidogo sababu wao ndio wameidhinisha hizi mijengo zote. Mimi nakumbuka vizuri nikihamia hapa kulikuwa na mijengo kidogo sana, mpaka kufikia hapa ndio kulikuwa na mjengo. Huko chini kabisa kulikuwa na takataka, kisha baadaye ikabebwa na tukaambiwa na mbunge aliyekuweko Margaret Wanjiru ya kwamba hapa patakuwa makazi ya watoto wetu kuchezea. Hatukujua ya kwamba zingenyakuliwa baadaye zianze kujengwa tena. The
exercise that began in earnest after a 48-hour notice lapsed Friday morning will see more than 200 families left out in the cold, with the county government insisting that it's an exercise that must be conducted if more lives are to be saved from further tragedy in future.
And this will be an exercise that will carry out through the county really. Slightly over 200 buildings had been identified through that audit exercise to be brought down.
But many here, most of whom preferred the area due to its low rates of rent, remain bitter that the exercise is solving no immediate problem other than rendering families homeless.
Sijui tunaenda wapi na hii maisha ya hapa Kenya ya kuhustle. Nimehustle, nimepata rent, nimelipa jana. Sasa kitambo nipate hiyo ingine ya kuhama itakuwa lini? Na niko na watoto na wanasoma.
Mimi nimetoka kazini sikuambiwa hii ax ni ya kubomoa leo. Mtakaa tu hapo kwa mvua.
The Huruma building disaster triggering the enforcement of a year-old report by the Nairobi City County that recommended the downing of hundreds of buildings within the city, even as more questions surrounding the construction and certification process of housing units continue to be raised. So with the death toll increasing in the Huruma tragedy, the Nairobi County government is already taking stern and swift action against buildings within the vicinity that it believes remain unsafe for living, in an exercise that it says will go on well into the weekend. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.